44 acres next to the Hillsdale Caltrain station are about to become a 4 million square foot mixed-use neighborhood with up to 1,670 housing units and towers up to 10 stories along El Camino Real. That's not a rumor. That's not a maybe. That's the formal application Bohannon and Northwood investors submitted to the city of San Mateo. CEQA review wraps mid-2026. Planning Commission and City Council hearings are expected late 2026. If you own a home anywhere from Hillsdale Boulevard to 31st Avenue, or really anywhere within about a mile of the mall, the neighborhood you bought into is changing. And the next 18 months are when the decisions that affect your property value gets locked in. I'm Burt Tsuei. I work this market every day. And I've had more conversations about this project with nervous homeowners in the last 90 days than almost anything else. So today I want to walk through what's actually proposed, what's genuinely positive about this project for the peninsula, and exactly what I'd be doing right now if I owned a home in this footprint. In this video, I'm covering 4 things. First, what is actually in this proposal? Because some of what I hear at open houses is not quite right. Second, the genuine positives of this project, because the conversation around it has gotten very one-sided, and homeowners deserve the full picture before they react. Third, 3 different game plans depending on whether you're thinking about selling soon, holding for the next decade, or staying long-term. And fourth, the specific things I'd be doing in the next 6 to 12 months if this project sits in your backyard. Part 1. What's actually proposed? Let's start with the facts, because there's a lot of confusion floating around. The project is called Hillsdale Reimagined. It's being run by Bohannon Development, the family that originally built the mall in 1954, in partnership with Northwood Investors, which is a Denver-based real estate firm. Sayers Regis Group filed the formal application earlier this year. Here's the shape of it. The north block, the outdoor section with Apple, Cinepolis, the pinstriped bowling alley, that 12-acre piece is staying. It's the inspiration for the whole redevelopment. What's getting demolished is the enclosed mall south of 31st Ave. About 1.5 million square feet of buildings come down. In their place, up to 2.06 million square feet of commercial, that's office plus ground floor retail, and up to 2.4 million square feet of residential holding to 1,670 housing units. 14% of those would be below market rate units, plus additional BMR townhomes. Heights vary by where you are on the site. The tallest buildings, 8 to 10 stories, up to 160 feet, are clustered along El Camino Real on the east side. Mid-rise residential buildings, 5 to 8 stories, sit closer to Hillsdale Boulevard. And on the western edge near Edison Street, where the property meets the existing single-family neighborhood, they're proposing 3-story townhomes set back from the property line. Now, here's the part most homeowners I talk to get wrong. Nothing has been approved yet. The City Council hasn't voted. CEQA, that's the California Environmental Quality Act review, is still being completed. Planning Commission and City Council hearings aren't expected until late 2026. Even if everything passes on schedule, the developer says the first phase of actual construction is roughly 5 years out, and full build-out will take about 20 years, phased in pieces across multiple economic cycles. So the project is real. The timeline isn't fast. Part 2, the positives. Before we get into the game plans, I want to spend a few minutes on the other side of this story. Because most of the conversation I hear about Hillsdale is about what nearby homeowners might lose. Those concerns are real, and I'm not going to dwell on that at this point, but it's worth being honest about what this project actually delivers. Because there's a lot here that's positive, and some of it is positive specifically for homeowners. Let's start with the biggest one, housing. San Mateo County has been building housing at a fraction of the rate it needs for as long as I've been alive. The teachers in our school districts mostly can't afford to live in the towns they teach in. The nurses at Mills Peninsula and the firefighters who respond to our calls are commuting from Tracy, from Stockton, from Modesto, because the peninsula has nowhere for them to live. That's not abstract housing policy. That's the daily reality of San Mateo County right now. 1,670 housing units in a single project is meaningful supply. Roughly 14% of those are designated below market rate, about 230 units priced for working families who otherwise get pushed out of the county entirely. Plus, additional BMR townhomes on top of that. This is the kind of housing the peninsula has been told for years it has to build, and Hillsdale is one of the very few sites in San Mateo with the scale to actually do it. The second positive, this is the right kind of housing in the right place. Here's what I mean by that. Density next to a Caltrain station, a station the city just spent significant money upgrading, produces fundamentally different traffic patterns than density built 5 miles away from transit. Future residents at Hillsdale Reimagined will be able to take Caltrain to San Francisco or San Jose without ever getting on 101. They'll be able to walk to groceries, restaurants, a movie theater, a bowling alley, without getting in a car. That is better for traffic on Hillsdale Boulevard, on El Camino, on 92 than the same number of units built somewhere car dependent. Planners call this transit-oriented development. It's specifically why the state of California has been pressuring peninsula cities to allow more housing near rail. Hillsdale is genuinely one of the better located sites for it on the entire peninsula. Third positive. This is where it starts to matter directly to nearby homeowners. The current enclosed mall is struggling. That's not a knock on Bohannon. That's just the reality of enclosed malls in 2026. Foot traffic is down. Tenant vacancies are real. Stores keep closing. The North Block, the outdoor section with Apple, Cinepolis, the bowling alley, that part is working. The enclosed mall south of 31st Ave is not, and the trend line is going the wrong direction. A 44-acre underutilized commercial site in your neighborhood is not a neutral. Over time, it becomes a problem. What's being proposed? Housing, ground floor retail, public open space, a redesigned street grid, walkable connections to Caltrain. That's the kind of investment that turns an underperforming mall into a piece of neighborhood that's actually used. And neighborhoods with vibrant walkable use districts in them tend to support property values around them, not depress them. I'm not saying any of this means homeowners should be unconcerned about height, construction timing, or traffic patterns during build-out. Those concerns are legitimate, and that's most of what this video is about. But the broader picture, meaningful housing supply, and the right kind of housing in the right place, replacing a struggling site with something that's actually used. There's a real case here, and I think it's worth saying out loud on a channel aimed at homeowners because the conversation around this project has gotten pretty one-sided. And you deserve the full picture before you decide how you feel about it. Part 3, 3 game plans. So let's talk about what you actually do with this information. I'll give you 3 game plans depending on your situation. Game plan 1, you're thinking about selling in the next 2 years. You have a window. Right now, the project is proposed, but not under construction. Buyers are aware of it, but it's not in their face. If you list before late 2026, before council approval, before the news cycle ramps up, you're selling into a market where the disclosure is, quote, this is being studied. After council approval, the disclosure becomes, this is approved on the way. Those are different conversations with the buyer, and they get priced differently. If selling in this window is even a maybe for you, I'd start with a current valuation now and a serious prep conversation. Not because anything is on fire, but because the calendar is moving and you want to be the seller who chose your moment, not the seller who reacted to a hearing. Game plan 2, you're planning to hold for the next 5 to 10 years. You're going to live through the loudest part of this. Demolition, pile drivers, traffic detours on El Camino and Hillsdale Boulevard. That's just real. The question for you is, do the upgrades you are already considering, landscaping, windows, an ADU, kitchen, still make sense if your daily experience is going to be construction adjacent for several years? In my experience, big remodels that finish right before construction starts next door tend to underperform on resale. Smaller, durable upgrades, windows, insulation, sound attenuating glass, especially on the side facing the site, those hold up better. Talk to me before you sign a contractor agreement. These are dollars to be saved by sequencing this with the project, not against it. Game plan 3, you're holding long term, 15, 20 years or more. You're probably the winner of this story. Long term, dense, walkable mixed-use development next to a Caltrain station tends to support property values, not depress them. The peninsula isn't building enough housing to keep up with demand from San Francisco and Silicon Valley jobs. And projects like this, whatever you think of them, are part of how that gap closes. Your job is to make sure your house is positioned to benefit. That means staying current on the design as it gets refined, knowing which streets become walkable corridors and which become cut-through traffic, and being thoughtful about any major investments in the meantime. Part 4. What to do in the next 12 months. 3 concrete things if I owned a home in this footprint. First, get a realistic, written valuation of your home as of right now, pre-hearing, pre-CQA finalization, so that whatever happens next, you have a baseline you can measure against. Second, read the actual project documents, not just the headlines. The City of San Mateo has a Hillsdale Mall redevelopment page that holds the application materials. Hillsdale Reimagined has a FAQ. Look at the site maps. Find your house. Measure how far you are from the tallest proposed structures. That's your real exposure, not the 10-story headline. Third, show up. The council was holding study sessions as recently as November. There will be more public meetings as CQA progresses through 2026. Whether you support the project, oppose it, or just want specific concessions, traffic mitigations, a grocery store, height step-downs near Edison, your presence in those rooms matters more than people realize. State housing law has narrowed what cities can demand, but on a project this big, public input still moves the needle on the details. Here's the bottom line. The Hillsdale Redevelopment is the largest project San Mateo has seen in generations. It is moving forward. The question for homeowners isn't whether it happens. It's whether you make decisions about your property with this in front of you or react to it later. If you own a home anywhere from Hillsdale Boulevard to 31st Ave, or really anywhere within a mile of the site, and you want a frank read on how this specifically affects your value based on your block, your orientation, and your timeline, call or text me directly at 650-274-3598. I work this market every day, and I've already done this analysis for several owners in the area. If this was helpful, hit subscribe. I cover Peninsula real estate, the projects shaping it, and what they actually mean for buyers and sellers in San Mateo County. In the next video, I'm doing the companion to this one for buyers and renters, what 1,670 new units near a Caltrain station does to the rest of the San Mateo housing market, and where the smart money is positioning right now. See you then.